All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Washington State head baseball coach Brian Greens is with us. So if you have a question for Coach Green, please raise your hand. All right, Coach, first question is going to be Jamie Vinnick from Kook Fan. Go ahead, Jamie.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Jamie, what's up?
Not too much. So obviously you guys coming off a pretty big weekend, beating Oregon, top 10 team. How do you kind of really refocus on this week with Seattle U and UCLA?
I think we just continue to focus on climbing. Obviously that was an unbelievable weekend for us and something that we haven't done in a while. But, again, we talked about, Jamie, just going into last weekend was, guys, look, we've been in a lot of games. We certainly all could look at our record and go, we could flip about 3 games, but it's also the Pac-12 and welcome to those results. But when we went into last weekend or last week, actually, with Gonzaga and Oregon, it was, here's 2 top 25 RPI teams. If we can do anything here on the weekend, particularly with Oregon, our RPI is going to change dramatically, and it did. So now we're in that same conversation that we were in again. We've got one more week with a midweek at Seattle, and then UCLA's coming in with an RPI in the 30s. Again, we take advantage of those things, and if we were able to find success, we got a much different conversation here with the final couple of weeks. So for us, we don't anticipate any issue of coming off of a big weekend, but more of, wow, we're even inching a little bit closer here to doing something that is a legitimate program goal, and that's being 500 in conference. If you do that, obviously you have conversations about the postseason. So we've got a lot to play for, and the conversations have certainly changed over the course of the last 3 weeks for us.
Talk about Manzo a little bit. For his standards, he maybe had cooled off again for his standards, and then like the last 5-6 games is hitting well over 500 with a bunch of RBI. Did something change in his approach, or did it just kind of come back for him to where he's hitting 370 again?
He went through a little bit of a stretch where he was early, and he went through a little bit of a stretch where he was just underneath the ball and, shifting a little bit, and just a mechanical tweak here and there. Not much. I mean, he really pays attention, but for him, I think it's managing the frustration. I think when you see guys hitting around you, that really changes things as well. I think when he went through his thing a little bit, Colin wasn't getting hits, but Manzo is such a good hitter. I just think it's kind of circling back around. You're not going to hit in terms of results as much as you'd like. And I think he went through a little downtime. He got a little frustrated. That put him into a little bit of a rut where he was early, but he's back to backing the ball up. And you really look at him this weekend, left on left or right on left with guys working the outer half of the plate. And he was driving the ball left center. And that's any hitter when you see that stuff going on. Peterson going right center for homers, or Vanderbrake hitting one down the line. Whenever we're doing that, we're clicking. And that was obviously what he did this weekend really well.
Talk about, you mentioned Peterson. He gets 2 home runs this weekend, his first since I think the early week of the season. How does that help his confidence, you think, a little bit, just to see him, have him hit a couple out?
Yeah, and they were really loose swings, and TP's been getting hits for us, and he's hitting over 300 in pack play, and he's obviously been really productive, but not, I know, to his standards of the home run ball. But he really found his swing over the weekend. He's found it over the last couple weekends. He's been driving the ball. He hit a couple of Cal that were just hammered, but it was Cal, and anywhere from left center to right center is it's really deep. But good to see him swinging the bat that we know that the way he can, and it's huge for us. He starts showing up with power numbers with Manzo. He's behind Manzo, and then here's Montez. It's a pretty good 3-4-5.
Talk about Nate Swartz a little bit. He got a start on Sunday and responded well with a couple of hits, a couple of RBI. What have you kind of seen from him?
Nate's a really good defender, and McKean went through a stretch there where it was impossible to take him out of the lineup. He found a couple of games where he wasn't finding success, and we put Keith in there because it was right on left with a slider, and we liked that matchup with Keith. And then we got into 1-1 on Sunday, and we anticipated the wind was swirling. We were starting Dakota. He can be up in the zone, and we just wanted to go a little more defense, and Nate's a really good defender. He's also been really having a lot of quality at bats. He hammered one off the wall at Cal. He got a start at A-State, lined out 3 times, and I mean legitimate lineouts. So he hasn't been paid statistically, but I was really happy for him to give him the start. He's been earning. He puts the work in. He's a great kid, great teammate, hard worker, really physical. And he hammered a couple balls. So that's a good story. It's just another guy that's kind of entered the party for us, and that's a really good thing.
What's obviously as per usual, Zane, Brandon, it's Friday, Saturday. Do you have the Wednesday, Sunday starters slated yet, or still figuring that out?
Not yet. We're actually going to see how our guys feel today. You know, the bullpen, everybody went a little bit of length on Sunday, and you know, those guys that pitched on Sunday are probably one of those guys is going to be a starter tomorrow. So we'll see how they feel, and then we'll put that thing out this afternoon. Same thing with Sunday. It's, you know, we've got kind of a cast of 2 or 3 guys that could be, you know, between Dakota and maybe Grant, maybe Haft, and we'll just kind of see how it shakes out. But we're definitely going to go into that weekend again with the Brandon Zane TBA. That's just what our staff is. And we're going to have to do a really good job tomorrow of controlling innings and making sure that we go into that weekend fresh. But at the same time, tomorrow's a big game for us. You know, we're 21-17 and RPI in the 50s, and we're still kind of, you know, we're kind of knocking still, and we're climbing, and we're excited about continuing to get better with the program. But I know the kids are excited.
And then that weekend at the end of May, that's still TBD. Have you guys finalized an opponent yet, or still working on that?
We are still working on it. And again, Jamie, we keep saying we're going to do it, but it's, you know, now all of a sudden you really want to evaluate UCLA and see how we do that weekend. Do we need to go chase RPI points and go on the road, or do we need to be home? There's a couple of teams, and we're still just kind of working on it, and we'll just any day now.
It won't be a Pac-12 opponent though, right?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah, it will not be.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Skip. Best of luck this week.
Hey, thanks, Jamie.
All right, Coach, our next question is going to be on the phone. It's going to be Trevor Williams. He called your Cal series for the Cougs on radio, and then he's doing the web stream tomorrow night. So go ahead, Trevor. There you go, Trev.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yep, go ahead.
Perfect. Coach, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Grant and just kind of where you've seen his development. I mean, it seems like here in the last couple of weeks, it's really clicked for him on the mound. Guys are having trouble hitting him. What have you seen change for him?
His maturity, you know, he's got good stuff, you know, and he's just been a lot more consistent with his habits. You know, to be quite honest, with all of our players, just we expect you to do things right in every facet, and he's found a real consistency. You know, his breaking stuff was okay. Same with the change early on, and him and Clags have kind of got together, and it's really clicking for him. He's gotten stronger in the weight room. I mean, his velocity, I think he's up to 4. I mean, he's made a great jump in the last month, and Clags saw it coming. So what is that, 3 weekends in a row for him? But yeah, I mean, he's put himself into a position where, I mean, it's like legitimate real spot innings, and his presence on the mound has been incredible. And, you know, and at the same time for Grant, he didn't have much pack opportunity. So for all of that, you got to kind of sneak guys into conference, or we felt like that we needed to do that. But since he's been given an opportunity, I mean, he has taken it and absolutely run with it, and is now right in the middle of our staff in terms of opportunities, appearances, and pitching when it matters. So, but for him, it's been finding that secondary stuff, command for strikes. And then, you know, credit to him, his body, his nutrition, and maybe how serious he's taken his habits off the field. But his velocity has really pumped up here the last month.
And I know you floated his name as a guy that if he's feeling pretty well could, you know, maybe go as a starter on Wednesday. How does that change his approach, or how does that alter kind of how he preps for that game? He's been coming out of the pen exclusively since that early season start that didn't go the way he wanted. So what would that adjustment look like this week if he is the guy who's able to go on Wednesday?
You know, it would just be one of those, if we give him the ball tomorrow, we would limit the pitch count and make sure that he's available and in a good position to get in on Friday, Saturday, or even potentially, if not used, on Sunday. Same thing with Hawkins. But for him, you know, he's had various roles, so I don't think it's much of an adjustment for him in terms of preparation. It's really going to come down to today, just talking to him and Dakota, just in terms of how they feel, you know, because they both were extended a little bit on Sunday. But one of those two guys is going to need to go for us and need to throw well and need to start well for us.
Defensively on Sunday, that stretch of the 3 plays between Jack and Kyle, and then Nate in left field. Was that one of the better stretches of defense you've ever seen in your coaching career?
Well, it's certainly, I mean, 3 absolute balls off the bat that are going to be hits. And it was unbelievable. I mean, Jack, 2 outs, runners on. Game's kind of getting a little nasty for us. You know, bullpen, we've had some issues. Boom, diving play. Manzo, full stretch, and then Russell to lead off the inning with Smith. I mean, he goes big into the 4, full extension dive. And then Nate, the ball was crushed, and he jumps into the wall and blasts into it and catches it. It was awesome. And, you know, when those things happen, both offensively and defensively, whether it's for you or against you, when defenders make plays like that, it just sends the message, we're winning this game. And whether you win it or not, it's a feeling that your defense sends to your pitching. And, you know, those plays are huge. And we've seen that done to us. Arizona State running balls down in the gap, or Dante Williams at Arizona, where nothing's going to fall on my watch. And it's demoralizing, you know, and those were huge plays for us. And I know it gave Connor a lot of confidence when he was on the mound, and it gave us, our team, a lot of confidence, you know, in the dugout. So those were legit plays all in a row.
And can you speak to Manzo defensively? I think there was a play, I forget which game, but it was like a bounce throw, and it seemed like it was maybe 10 feet out in front of him. He picked it. Can you speak to the work he's put in? You know, he gets all the credit for everything he does at the plate, but what he's done to improve as a defensive first baseman?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because he does deserve a lot of credit. And Colden does too, and Jack does too. You know, I mean, those guys, Russell, I mean, all of our defenders really, I mean, Preston and Gunner. And if you look at our defense, our guys have just gotten better. They've gotten more active, more fluid. But back to your question with Manzo specifically, you know, last year, I remember when I first got here, when we first got here as a staff, you know, it's pretty hard on our first baseman. I said, guys, I'm one of the worst first base crews I've seen. You know, I mean, you're dropping baseballs that are hit right to you. You can't move. And Manzo is an absolute worker, and him and TP grind every day. But he's turned himself into a really good defender at first base. He picks everything. His lateral's better. His arm strength's gotten better. It's an awesome story, because he really went from one level to another on defense, and it's totally based on just work ethic and just grinding and putting the work in, put your nose down. And he doesn't take a rep off. And that's why he's a good hitter. He does the same thing in the cage. He doesn't take reps off. He's very purposeful and very present in what he does. So you look up and all of a sudden he's a good defender, but it's a year's worth of work.
And then last one for you, Oregon. So you guys are playing a lot of games at home here to finish the season. You could hear it throughout the weekend for Oregon. I mean, they knew at Bailey Brayton you have to keep the ball down, especially when the wind's blowing out like it was all weekend. Can you speak to home field advantage and like approach? So how it differs for teams when you're at home or on the road, or like, are there things that you guys offensively know to swing at because of how the field plays, or how does all that kind of work out?
Well, you know, the Pac is such a varied league with home field advantage. I mean, it's the most specific home field advantage when you go on the road, and every team is built around their team. You know, we're getting closer, but you know, Bailey Brayton in our home field, and obviously we have a good opportunity here to have balance, because everybody knows we're just going to be on the road for the first 4 weeks, and you know, we're one of the bigger road win teams in the country, and we're going to play a lot of road games. So we do have to have balance, but one of the things that you have to have here is you have to have strength. I mean, the ball gets going, it's an offensive park. And you need to be physical here. You know, if we're playing for one run an inning for 9, you know, that's not necessarily the formula here. This is a 3-run homer park. So for us, I think it's more about who we're putting on the field, and what we're recruiting and what we're doing in the fall in terms of working to be really physical, you know. And if you play Arizona State, they're going to be really fast and really athletic. And same thing with Cal. I mean, Cal's impossible to score in the alleys. So, but it's really interesting. But yeah, I think this place is certainly a home field advantage, just like Cal. I mean, Cal, you know, you can get demoralized if you don't stay positive you can hammer some balls in the gap and they get caught. Here, you can hit a ball in the air and it can go. And I think that certainly it's a home field advantage. I think from our pitching perspective, I think our guys know that just hey, it's going to happen, and keep your head down and keep playing. And I think it helps us offensively to, really work to get a pitch to drive, and be aggressive, but be aggressive within our zone. But I think our park certainly lends itself to that.
Sorry, I lied. Actually, one more thing that you sparked my thought with recruiting. Oregon was a little disappointed when Zane went out and took care of business on Saturday, and it kind of showcased a little bit of the recruiting rivalry in the Northwest. And you have some more Northwest teams on the schedule here to finish the season. I mean, can you talk about what that's like right now in recruiting to have some of these programs really starting to look at Washington State as a major threat on the recruiting trail?
Well, we know that the BTO just had a major impact for us in the Northwest. When a recruit or a family come into the facility now, there's a value statement that was made from the administration that says baseball is important in Washington State, and the recruits get to see that. So, it certainly is impactful for us to be able to bring somebody after they've been to Seattle or Eugene or Corvallis to present something that says, hey, baseball is a big deal here too. And this is why, and this is how, and here's the facility. So I think the facility in itself has really lended that to giving us an opportunity. Obviously the Northwest, the facilities are awesome up here. I mean, again, Washington, Oregon State, I mean, they have legit facilities, and we do too now. So now all of us are going to be competing against each other to keep attacking that arms race. But it really just enabled us the opportunity to get into the arena with them. And, we're going to work just like everyone does up here. Everybody has a great staff and gets after it. And we're just pumped that we're into that arena now, that we know that we have a product that says this is not only competitive, may be better in some areas. So that's really exciting for us.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Okay, thanks.
All right, Coach, final couple of questions will come from Scott Hood and Rivals.com. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good, Scott. Thank you.
I think out of the first 7 Pac-12 weekends you've had, 3 times on Friday night, you guys have allowed 10 or more runs. Are you thinking about do any tweaks or anything to that to try to get the team off to a little better start?
Scott, that's just a roster issue, to be quite honest, and I think, anytime you're not deep, that Friday night you get down 5 or 6, you're really going to want to make sure that you keep your guys that can go. And I think you just see some of that, specifically with us. But yeah, I mean, obviously we're trying to make sure that we limit that, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we give our best 6 guys the opportunity to pitch. And it's a chess match and it's a guessing game, and you just don't know which games you're going to get back into or not. And, but Friday night pitching in the Pac, boy, if you get down, you tend to see a lot of scores get separated if you get down early, because that other team's got that closer that they're waiting on, and you don't want to waste your bullets. So even though some of the scores have gotten away from us a little bit, our guys have done a really good job of late, if they do, of still enabling us to not use a lot of arms, and it's enabled us the opportunity to come back and win series. So everybody's playing a role right now in a part.
Obviously, the last 2 weekends, you guys have lost the Friday night game, then came back and won Saturday and Sunday. What are the magic words you tell your team? You've been telling your team after the Friday night game to get them to bounce back so convincingly the final 2 games.
Man, I don't know. I've got no clue on that one.
Yeah.
No, it's our guys. Our guys are resilient. We have a philosophy though that, and if you get beat, particularly in a tough game, we don't need to be shelling our kids. And we know that, our guys bring it, and they play hard and they care about Washington State, and they're going to give us everything they have. So, a lot of times we don't say a lot other than, look, we got Zane going tomorrow, and we've got a fresh bullpen, and we've got one of the better offenses in the country or in the Pac. And let's get after this, and let's come back and fight harder. Let's not take an inning off a pitch off, but it's not magic words. It's our kids, it's TP, Manzo, and Smith. And it's all of them. They really, really care. And it's been really fun to go on this thing with our guys that with each week, you see us just competing a little bit more and a little bit better and a little bit more confident. But for this program to lose on Fridays, back-to-back weekends, come back and win series, it's phenomenal. I'm just so proud of our guys, and it's just fun to sit back and watch them. And I think, Scott, when you look at why, if we're taking BP and we're facing a guy who's going to be sitting on the outer half, our leaders and older guys will back off the plate in BP and hit the ball the other way. And they're totally committed to preparing and training and doing everything they can to be successful. So it's certainly not my message. It's our players, and they want to win, but they adjust really well game to game, and they're getting better at adjusting bat to bat, pitch to pitch.
One final question. Scouting report on UCLA. I know historically they've always had very strong pitching. At one time they had Trevor Bauer and Jared Cole on the same staff that went to the championship series. I think I was there when they lost to South Carolina, but they won the national championship several years later. So it seems like the foundation for the UCLA program has always been very strong pitching.
Very much. You know, as an assistant for Coach Savage for 4 years, you know, he's one of the best, if not the best. And that you watch him on video, and it's like, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves as Seattle, but you know, we're watching opposing teams and they're playing the Bruins pitching, and you're just like, holy smokes. So, you know, it's legit pitching. It's mixed. They know how to pitch. They can any pitch, any count, different angles, looks, all of it. And Coach Savage is one of the best game callers in the country. So hands are full, but we're really happy that we're playing him here where the park can play offensive. So, you know, hopefully that'll be an advantage for us. But yeah, we're going to have to absolutely be dialed in.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, last chance for questions for Coach Green. All right, thanks for your time today, Coach, and good luck this week against Seattle U on Wednesday, and then number 16 UCLA comes to Pullman this weekend. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys. Go Cougs.